Today's video is going to be a bit more of a rant, but I felt like now was the perfect time to talk about a situation that's been going on in the gaming sphere for quite some time. And before you even start attacking me for the thumbnail or the title of the video about how you're not the idiot at all and I'm secretly the idiot of all time, just hold your horses for a minute and watch the video, because I'm definitely not excluding myself from this problem at all. But getting straight into it, the main thing that really sparked this video's idea and really made me even feel like I needed to talk about this issue was something that really anyone that's been on the internet in the past 2 months should know about, and that's the recent release of the Nintendo Switch 2. And before we even get into the plethora of problems with this, I just really want to make it a big point that even though I'm using the Switch 2's release and just general existence as an example here, I'm not solely referring to the Switch. This is a general problem that pretty much affects the entirety of gaming, and I'm only using the Switch as an example because it's probably the biggest and especially the most recent example of this. And this said problem that I keep referring to here is a problem that most people, and especially gamers, already know of. It's not like this is some big secret, it's just that it really doesn't get as much attention as it should for how big of a problem it is, which really just leads to people really doing nothing about it. And the problem, of course, is gamers basically having absolutely no backbone and no impulse control whatsoever. And like I said before you even get mad at me and rush to the comments to start calling me the idiot ever, relax. I'm considering myself a part of this problem as well. It's not like I'm better than anyone watching this video right now, except for the ones of you that have brain-eating parasites and rush to comment nonsense before you even watch the video. But getting back to the main topic of the video, before I get into the main person that I want to use as an example in this video, I just want to start by saying it's not like I have any ill intention towards this person or I hate them or anything like that. If anything, it's quite the opposite. It just so happens that what they did in this situation kind of perfectly fits what we're going to be talking about in this video, and it really just kind of helps drive the point home when you can take a look at a pretty massive creator also being a part of the problem that you're trying to talk about. But the person that we're going to be taking a look at today is Mudahar from Some Ordinary Gamers. And if you don't know who that is, he's basically just the guy that makes a ton of different videos about just general tech, games, and the internet as a whole, and the videos that he does make on those topics are usually pretty in-depth, and usually for most of those videos, they typically do end up offering some sort of helpful insight or advice on whatever the video's being made on. But the problem we're going to be talking about today stems from a video he posted about a month ago titled "Why I'm Not Buying the Nintendo Switch 2 Right Now." And in that video, and a few more that he made after that one, he basically just criticizes the Nintendo Switch 2, Nintendo themselves, and pretty much everything that they're doing wrong with the Nintendo Switch 2, which, if you've been keeping an eye on it, is of course a plethora of problems, with pretty much the biggest one that most people know of being the price of everything. The Switch itself cost $500 base, and of course, if you're gonna be buying the Nintendo Switch, you're not gonna buy it with no game. You're of course going to want the staple game that you should really be buying with the Nintendo Switch, and half the reason people want one, which will most likely be the brand new shiny Mario Kart game. Which means that if you're looking to buy a Nintendo Switch 2 and Mario Kart, which mind you is literally just the entrance fee, this is just to get your foot through the door, you're looking at $500 for the console itself and then another $80 for the game, and that's before tax. So after taxes, if you go into Walmart, Target, GameStop, Best Buy, wherever you're getting it from, out the door, you're looking at about $620 after taxes. Editing Sushi here, it looks like I messed up the price just a bit. It looks like it's actually $450 for the console and then $80 for the game. So if you hear me calling it $500 for the rest of the video, just kind of ignore that and reset it to $450. I could have swore it was $500, that was my bad. Which is of course outrageous, and that's not to mention all the other problems that he brought up with this console, with one of the main other problems that especially Mudahar was opposed to being that you'll basically never truly own anything on the console at all. Because let's just say you're one of the people that know that gaming consoles and handheld systems eventually get discontinued, so you like to purchase physical copies of your games, so once said system does get discontinued, you can always just go back in, pop the cartridge in, and play the game. But with the Switch 2, that's not the case anymore. Majority of the physical copy games that you'll be able to buy for the Nintendo Switch 2 don't actually contain game data whatsoever. It's basically just a physical digital key for the game, which means the service for that system needs to be online and supported, and you're basically always gonna have to have that system connected to the internet and updated in some way. And this really goes for the console itself as well. If you try and make any change to your system at all that Nintendo doesn't agree with, say bye-bye to your Switch, because it's going to be bricked. You will not be able to use it anymore, which really just shows you how much ownership you truly have over that $500 console that you just bought. And I know this was a slightly long tangent, but I promise it does actually add value to the video, and it ties back into what we were talking about. Because after all of the different videos that he made basically criticizing the Switch 2 and talking about how he just doesn't like the idea of how Nintendo is handling the pricing and especially ownership of this console, moving back to present day, we now see a video recently uploaded by Mudahar. The Switch 2 dropped, and it's not impressive. And I'm sure you can probably already tell from the thumbnail, but the person that was basically preaching about how they don't like anything about the Switch and they weren't gonna buy it because they don't really want to support a company with practices as bad as Nintendo's, has now just purchased the console that they were preaching about how bad it is and how you shouldn't buy it and how they won't be buying it. And before I even move on, like I said before, this isn't to target Mudahar in any sort of way and put him on the spot and act like he's some sort of high-level idiot or anything like that. I'm also not judging his purchases at all, because honestly, if I was in his situation, I would probably get the Switch 2 as well. You're a big content creator that talks about a lot of different tech, games, and everything else, and it almost makes sense for you to have the console at that point. But when it comes down to it, that really almost makes the problem that much worse. And this is also wrapping back around to the major problem with gaming in general, and especially gamers, because they really have the power in this entire situation. And that's, of course, like I said, them just having no backbone and absolutely no impulse control at all. There's one major reason that games and basically everything surrounding gaming has been steadily declining and just getting worse over the years. And that reason is, of course, one that most people already know, with it being that they're letting it happen. These major companies would not be getting away with releasing extremely subpar games for insane prices and just spamming the worst and scummiest business tactics known to man if people just wouldn't buy into it. And that's where the major issue comes in. Everyone knows this is a problem, but they just do absolutely nothing about it. They let these companies basically do whatever they want with them, spit in your face, stomp you out, and everything else, and they'll just still eat up and buy everything they produce, which really honestly just incentivizes these companies to keep doing what they're doing or just amp it up. Because why not? If you're still making the same amount of money, if not more, why would you stop? Why would you sit there and actually hire teams and do all this other stuff to make a great game, a great high value proposition for the consumer, when you could just not and they'll still buy it? And like I keep saying, the Switch is just a great example of this, because even with all the negative attention and everything else negative surrounding this system, basically everything regarding the Switch sold out as soon as it released. There were people waiting outside of stores overnight to get their hands on one. And it's this exact lack of control that's really making the entirety of gaming that much worse. Because negative press doesn't matter at all to these companies as long as they're making money. They don't care how their public appearance looks. The only time they'll care about that is if it's going to affect their sales. And again, in this specific situation with the Switch, they could have honestly made the console $700 or $800, and I guarantee you it would have still sold out day one. This is post-editing Sushi here. I also forgot to toss in, I'm kind of using sold out as a general term here because a lot of stores it did just completely sell out in, and I just want to say that I know it's not absolutely all of them, and I can only applaud for the people in the areas that the Switch is just not sold out or damn near fully in stock. So if you have one of those stores near you, good job on everyone that lives around there. Keep up the good work. And like I keep saying as well, I'm not only talking about the Switch here, or not even just games in general. You might might think you're safe from this because, oh, I haven't purchased a game in a while, I haven't bought a bad game in a while. It's not just games. A big way that they get people now is with, of course, the microtransactions, which, if you're watching this video at all, I can almost guarantee you that you've either bought a not so great game recently, or at least indulged in some sort of microtransactions, whether that be a cosmetic for your character, weapon, or anything along those lines. Basically, everyone watching this video has done that. And just sit back and think for a second. Like I keep saying, it's probably something you already know, but let's just use a game like Valorant, for example. But it could be any game. It could be Valorant, Overwatch, Marvel Rivals, League of Legends. If you're playing League, you have brainworms, but League of Legends, it truly doesn't matter. Just pick a game. Think about what you purchased in that game. Do you really think you got your money's worth, or do you feel like you're paying a very premium upcharge for whatever you're getting? Because in most cases, for most mainstream games, you're gonna feel like it's a heavy upcharge. Like I said, using a game like Valorant, for example, but it could be any game. Let's say you spend $60 to $80 on a weapon skin bundle, and then you get maybe about 4 or 5 skins max. Do you really think that was worth $80? Because if you don't, you're part of the problem as well. And with that said though, I'm also not the type of person to bring up major problems without offering you any sort of solution. And I'll tell you the great thing about the solution in this problem, and that is that we already know what the solution is, and it's so easy. All you have to do is just not buy in. Those shiny new skin, shiny new game, or whatever you're looking at that you really want to buy, but you also don't think it's that great of an idea because you don't like the price, or you don't like how the company is managing it, or you think it should be better, just don't buy it. When it comes to gaming, the consumers hold literally 100% of the power. Gaming, and especially constantly buying new games and skins and microtransactions and everything else, is something that's not even remotely essential to just living your day-to-day life. And even if you like doing it for enjoyment, like I said, I guarantee you that staying up to date on the newest skins and games and everything else isn't going to really improve your happiness or enjoyment that much. I'm sure most of you watching this video probably have a ton of games in your library that you haven't even started, so I'm sure going a little while without buying anything related to games, no new skins or no new games, isn't gonna kill you. And don't misinterpret this as me telling you to stop playing games, because that's not the case at all. You can continue playing what you already have, like I basically just said. They don't really get money from you just playing the game. They get money from you spending money. So even if 20 to 30% of gamers would just stop buying into these outrageous things that these companies have been peddling, I guarantee you we'd start to see sweeping changes fairly quickly. And I mean fairly quickly in the general sense of the word, not the average TikTok brain sense of the word, where you think they're gonna roll out sweeping changes where they reduce the price of everything by 80% in 24 hours. It would definitely take a few months to actually play out, but I think it's definitely worth going a few months without buying anything related to video games for an overall improvement of your quality of life for gaming, which of course means just better games and better value for your money when it does come to things like microtransactions and cosmetics. But with that said, that's pretty much all I have to say for this video, and make sure you guys let me know what you think about this as well in the comments, because when I make videos like this, I'm not making it as like the one above all iron-fisted right opinion or anything like that. These videos are really made to be a discussion, so I'd love to hear what you guys think in the comments. And if you made it this far, you may as well drop a like and a subscribe as well, so I can know that you want to see more videos like this. But I'm not gonna hold y'all here for too long, so I'll catch you guys in the next one, where hopefully people aren't waiting at a store all night to pay $620 for a console that they don't even really truly own.